Good morning, Raw Food Junkie here. And today is a wonderful day. Woke up, blessed, giving life, receiving life. It's all good. Anyway, today is, besides a blessed day because we woke up, I just want to tell you about a juice club that's going on Facebook. Excuse me. Dr. Morris's herbs are coming up. Steve Kreider started a juice club, Fight for Your Life. There's about 119 of us who are involved. Rick, Nate, Lisa, a few hundred. There's a bunch of people. Okay. If you are a part of my Facebook and you want to join the juice club, shoot me a message. If you're a part of Steve's, shoot Steve a message. The only thing is that we do not do any endorsing of anybody. You cannot put videos of anything other than you juicing and your journey on the juice fast. We don't want to endorse anybody else's program, endorse, somebody else's product. We're not about that. Not saying that anybody else's program is wrong or anybody else's product is wrong. We just want to keep it basic and simple. That is Steve's vision, and I am going to totally back Steve up on that, and because I completely understand where he's coming from. Enough of that plug. Today I woke up feeling impressed about sharing with you guys about the importance of forgiveness. And I have extremely came to a point where I have mastered the art of. And when I say that, I mean I've been through a lot. My life has not always been peaches and cream. Matter of fact, it's not peaches and cream. But I don't complain. I'm not going to complain about anything. I'm blessed. I go where I go. I am where I am. I literally, anybody who knows me, I just glide through life. I just go where the Creator has me go, Though I've set out to do things, and I've done everything I've set out to do. But forgiveness is a very, very, very important role. And I know a lot of you guys, well, you don't know what I've been through. You know what? It doesn't matter what you've been through. I can probably guarantee you I've been through everything you've been through and more, I grew up in a very, very abusive home, both emotionally and physically. I had a grandmother who was put here on earth to be my hero. I know that. I know that, and I can't wait to go. I've told her thank you. I told her as we buried her, thank you for who you were to me. She was my all in all, and she passed away 5 years ago, and I truly, truly missed her. But if it wasn't for, her teaching me how to forgive, and I never could understand when she would say, don't worry about what they do, just forgive them. I would be like, what do you mean just forgive them? How can I just forgive them? How could they not know what they're doing? And it wasn't until I realized, really, yeah, they understand, they know what actions they're doing as they're doing the action. They do know that. But I don't think that people know the effects of the actions they do. And we can't take their actions personal, Well, you don't know what my daddy did. Well, you know what? It's okay. I had family members that molested me, I'll straight out tell you, I hated one so much that I pulled a gun on him. And I literally, this person was going through the sheriff's academy. There was a fight between him and another family member. I disarmed that particular family member, and I held the gun up to his face. I audibly heard God say, if I shoot him, I will never be able to forgive him. I put the gun down. I handed it to whoever was behind me. I walked off the property. 2 years later, I went to a singles retreat, and the whole singles retreat was on forgiveness, and how the forgiveness was not for the other person, but it was for you. And I said, okay. So when I got down the mountain from the retreat, I went to this person's house, and we sat in the room for 2 hours, and I told him, look, what you took from me was the only thing that my husband can give me, that I can give that was the only gift I can give my husband. And I hated you all these years for doing what you did to me. I said, but I forgive you. I said, but most of all, I want you to forgive me for hating you so much for what you did. And we literally cried in that room for 2 hours. Literally cried, tears, And, I never brought it up again. If you ever see him and I together, you would never know that happened. Well, October, this person calls me, and I'm like, okay, hey, what are you doing? What you need? Because he never calls me unless he needs something, right? And he was like, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I was like, for what? He's like, well, you know what I did to you when we were kids? Yeah? He's like, I want to tell you I was sorry. I was like, didn't I forgive you 22 years ago? 23 years ago? Yeah. He's like, but I never forgave myself. He said, I never believed that could be me. And even though you always walked in forgiveness and you never brought it up again, and you never hated me for what I did, he goes, I always hated myself. He carried that longer than I did. And he was the perpetrator. So his guilt was killing him. But it was through my forgiveness that he found victory. And like I told him 23 years ago, I forgive you. I've always have forgiven you. After that day when we were in the bedroom, I've forgiven you. You never heard me bring it up. I normally don't share it with people unless I feel a necessity of freedom for people. And for some reason, I feel like somebody needs it. Maybe a lot of people need it. And it's okay that I may get slack for this. I'm not ever going to use anybody's name. But listen, I have been a victim most of my life. I refuse to be a victim anymore because I allowed it. I allowed the behavior of being a victim to everybody. Now I don't. Now I'm like, things happen. It has nothing to, what they do to me has nothing to do with me. And I'm not going to hold it personal. I'm not going to go talk about it to anybody. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to let anything inside this space. You see this space right here? This is T, that's you, okay? And if you do something, it's okay. I may be standoffish. I may kind of try to process it. but I'm going to forgive you right away. To me, right away could be a couple days, but I'm not going to carry it any longer than that couple days. And if you and I need to talk, you and I are going to talk, you know. But just know that I don't carry stuff, you know. Your beliefs have nothing to do with my beliefs. My beliefs have nothing to do with yours, you know. But know that walking in forgiveness, unconditional forgiveness, is important. Not just for you, but for people around you, you know. You parents who have been separated or divorced, you playing your kids between each other is wrong. You telling the other parent what a lousy parent the other person is because they're not in their life, you're wrong. You need to be telling your kid, look, I'm telling you, I go through this. I have 2 ex-husbands, okay? I have 3 children, I have 2 ex-husbands. My first ex-husband is a drug addict. Right now he's in prison. I never ever talked negative to my children about my ex-husband. It was not my job. I always believe that they can show who they are on their own. My kids are smart enough to understand. Your kids are smart enough to understand who, you know, the good and the bad and the ugly. They're not stupid, okay? They will all figure out character, and usually they do it at a young age, okay? My son, we were supposed to come to Thanksgiving with my family. Our family would celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas during Thanksgiving. That way the spouses can go, that way you can do Christmas at the other families. That way there's no, you know, negative energy. We were supposed to come to Thanksgiving. We had it all planned anyways. I can't even remember what happened, but we could not leave New Mexico and come here. I really can't remember what it was, but anyway, we were all upset because, you know, we wanted to go and, you know, we didn't get to go. My son finds this perfect moment to have this, Mom, why don't you ever talk about my dad? I said, why do I need to talk about it? She goes, well, I want to know why you guys got divorced. And I said, well, Harley, I says, I really, you know, that really has nothing to do with you. You know, your dad's and my relationship was, you know, his and my relationship. And he goes, yeah, he says, but I want to know, I hear things, but I never hear things from you. He goes, I want you to tell me. And I said, no, it's not my job to, you know, tarnish your belief of your father. You know, my ex-husband, even though he had limited supervised visitation, he had an open door policy to my home. Anytime he wanted to come and see my son, our son, he could come. He never took it up. Anytime he would ever call, he would bring up the fact that he owed me $89,000 and still does in back child support. He always used that as an excuse. That's funny. Usually it's the women. You can't see your kid until you pay child support. You know what? I figure this. If I'm eating, the kid's going to eat. You know, if I'm going to buy me clothes, usually I'm not going to buy me clothes. I'm going to make sure my kids are, you know, taken care of before me. But I would never use the fact that they hadn't paid child support. Because when I divorced him, I knew he wasn't going to pay. It was the judge that made the mandate of the payment, not me. I didn't care. You know, and maybe I'm just different. But it's, you know, it's okay. It's okay if he didn't pay. That has nothing to do with his relationship with his son. I was never going to get in between that. He had to make sure he was either going to be a good dad or a bad dad on his own. Listen, people are going to fail, people are going to succeed, but never stand in somebody's way to do either one. Anyway, out of the conversation, he finally, you know, had me tell him. And I told him, you know, I told him about everything, you know. And I told him, now, I don't want you to make this have a negative impact. I've forgiven him. you cannot walk in unforgiveness towards him, because his actions had nothing to do with who you are. You're an awesome kid. I love you. You are loved. And my son did try to have a relationship with him, but then he started doing drugs again, and he went back to prison. My son said, "No, I'm not going to have that kind of ups and downs." He goes, "I don't need that in my life." So, my son's very wise. Then my husband that I just divorced a year and a half ago. 2 years. Yeah, it just turned 2 years ago. 2 years, 3 months or something like that. So anyway, he when we divorced, I got full sole physical legal custody of my daughter because he was abusive to both my older 2 kids, and I didn't want that there to be a pattern. And listen, even on that note, I didn't want to divorce him. I said, look, if you go to parenting classes, anger management, grief counseling, let's do this. I loved him. I just didn't love his actions, but he didn't want that, and that's okay if he didn't want it. That just means that his priorities were somewhere else, and that's okay. That has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with my daughter. He hasn't paid child support at all either. I think he made one payment. Okay, boo. But that's okay. My daughter is sad because she hadn't talked to her dad in a year. And that's okay. I tell my daughter, listen, forgive him. That has nothing to do with you. You didn't do anything to make him that way. He was like that before. He did that same thing to his other 2 kids. He doesn't talk to them. Only when only when I would, kind of talk to them, he would talk to them. But it had nothing to do with my daughter. My daughter is a blessing, wonderful, talented kid. Man, the kid can play the piano. She can play the guitar. She teaches herself. She paints. Oh my God, the kid's an artist. And that has nothing to do with how her dad treats her, And I'm not ever going to teach them to walk in unforgiveness by me not walking in forgiveness. I just know that his actions had nothing to do with me. And if, my actions had only to do with my anger and non-trusting of him. My non-trusting. Not his, but mine. So those were my actions. So just walk in forgiveness. There's a lot of walk in forgiveness. Unconditional love and forgiveness. It's cool to live on this side. When you just don't care when people do you wrong or say things or even what they think, it's cool. There's people out there that I know from YouTube and Facebook and that I've met in person, they're dealing with their own insecurities and they try to push those insecurities on me, and I understand it has nothing to do with me. And it's okay. When they come to the place they come to, they'll know. But anyway, juice fasting is on. It's going strong. Like I say, you want to join the juice club, hit me up. If you don't, it's all good. Whoever's going to do it's going to do it. But little note on the juice fasting and the eating raw. All my life I bit my nails. To the nub, bit my nails. You see my nails? You see how long they are? 3 months after I started eating raw, I was sitting in my cousin's house in Burleson, Texas. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't bit my nails in a long time. I was tripping out because here everybody would do everything to try to get me to bite my nails. And I could never do it. I was just such a nervous kid from, the crap that I was going through. The medication they had me on and just a lot of, family stuff that was being partaked, of, and it was just, I was just a mess. And in the midst of it, I found peace, I found tranquility. I love it. My kids call me a hippie now, which is cool. anyway, you guys, subscribe. Do whatever you want. Just walk in forgiveness. You'll really like it. You'll find so much. It's worth doing. Listen, you being all balled up right here, and you want to know why your stomach don't hurt? It's because you can't forgive. Anyway, peace out. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.